¿qué tal? If you'd like to have access to all of my videos and worksheets, click on the link listed in the video description to access my shared Google Drive. They're all free. First thing we covered in class was the greetings. So Spanish greetings, so los saludos. So if you go to my YouTube channel, I have the video called Spanish greetings, and this is one that you need to review.
Buenos días. Buenos días. ¿Qué hubo? ¿Qué hubo? ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más? ¿Qué pasa?
So make sure you take a look at that one and review the video to review all the ways we say saludos or greetings in Spanish. So the video is very comprehensive, so it will say that for you. Okay, so in the study guide, you have this part that you have to fill out. So what I recommend is while you are watching this video, go ahead and have your study guide out, and you're gonna be taking notes and fill out any parts that you don't have already filled out, and just make notes about things that you didn't know or that you noticed that are important to you. So in here we have saludos y despedidas. So I have here, so we have hello, so hola, goodbye, adios. So make sure you also pay attention to the accent marks. So make sure you watch those and pay attention to the accent marks. So let's go over this in the pronunciation. So we have hola, adiós, hasta luego, hasta mañana. So notice that hasta in Spanish means until or till, so till tomorrow, till later. But in English it translates more into like see you tomorrow, see you later. But hasta means until. Hasta mañana, so buenos días. Notice the accent mark on días. Buenas tardes, buenas noches. So Spanish doesn't have two ways to say like good evening or good night. It's just buenas noches. So whenever it gets dark, you would say buenas noches. And if somebody's going to sleep and it's late night, you still say buenas noches. So that's just the way we say it. How are you? ¿Cómo estás? Informal. So all of these ways that I chose here for you, all the questions are asking in the informal way, meaning they're asking using the tú form, the tú, which is you informal in Spanish. So when you use tú, it's like when you're addressing somebody that you feel very close to. So usually it's like friends, brothers and sisters, cousins, like people that are the same age or people that you feel really close and you don't have to be like super proper. And then we use usted, which is you formal, to refer to like when we are talking to like our boss, our teacher, our elder, our parents, and people like that. So all of these questions are using tú. Okay, so you need to remember that. So also pay attention that in Spanish, all questions have question marks in the beginning and at the end, unlike English, right? So make sure you know how to put that there in the beginning and at the end. And all question words in Spanish have question marks. So like como, which means how, has a question mark on the O. And como estás obviously has an accent mark, So como estás, what's up, ¿qué tal? I'm good, estoy bien. I'm not so good. No estoy muy bien. I'm so. So there's 2 ways you can say that, or 3 ways. I listed here 2 ways. So one way is say, estoy más o menos. So I'm more or less. So estoy más o menos. Or you can say, estoy así. So I prefer to say estoy más o menos, or I say estoy regular. That is also like so. Nice to meet you. You can say the long way, which is mucho gusto en conocerte. That's like the long way. Conocerte is the verb conocer, which means to meet. So you can say that, mucho gusto en conocerte, and that te indicates that you are addressing the person with tu, meaning informal. So, mucho gusto en conocerte. Or you can just simply say mucho gusto, which means nice to meet you. And then we have gracias, which is thank you. And then we have you're welcome, which is de nada. Then we have sorry, which is lo siento. Please, por favor, 2 words, por favor. Likewise, igualmente. What's your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? Again, that S at the end here. ¿Cómo te llamas? And that te is indicating the tu. I'm addressing the person using the tu informal. And then me llamo Señor Bluemel, or me llamo Miguel, whatever. Another way you could say that is mi nombre es, which is nombre is name. So you could say that too. You could say mi nombre es Señor Bluemel. Or if you want to ask that too, you could say ¿cuál es tu nombre? What is your name? ¿Cuál es tu nombre? But I chose here just to give you ¿cómo te llamas? Y me llamo. If you're asking what's his or her name, you're just going to use se for his and her. Unlike English, that has 2 different forms, his and her, Spanish only has 1. So, ¿cómo se llama? And that se is both for his and her name. Or you can also say, ¿cuál es su nombre? ¿Cuál es su nombre? What's his or her name? And then if you're saying it his and her name, then you say se llama Miguel, se llama Sofía, or you can say su nombre es Miguel, su nombre es Sofía. So they're both the same thing. This is a girl. So the word girl in Spanish, we can say girl. We can say niña. That's one definition for girl. Niña is more like a youngster, like a child, a female child. So niña. Or you can say chica. It also means girl. Usually chica we say a little bit more like older, like more like teenage. Or we can say muchacha, which is also like a older, young, but still young person. And then this is esta es. Esta es una niña. So esta, notice that there is a difference between esta and este when you want to say this is a boy or this is a girl. So one ends in A and one ends in E. And that's because in Spanish, everything has all the pronouns and adjectives and all those things have to match gender and noun. So if it's a female or a feminine noun or pronoun or word, you have to use, it has to match, right? It has to agree. So esta is for feminine, and then este is for masculine. And then, so you would say este es un niño. The same niño, chico, muchacho is the same thing as I was explaining about girl. Boy has, you can say each one of this means boy. But niño, just know that niño is more like a kid. Like niño is like a little child. Chico and muchacho are more like boys, but more older, like older boys. So like more like teenage or youngsters, but not like little kid, like niño. Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? So again, the eres indicates I'm using tú. I'm asking the person ¿de dónde eres in the informal way. And then to answer that, you would say soy de. So soy de Colombia, that's where I'm from, or soy de los Estados Unidos. If you're from the United States, you would say soy de los Estados Unidos, o soy de Missouri, o soy de Canada, or soy de California, or whatever. ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Again, that tienes, that is at the end is too informal. So ¿cuántos means how many, and then años is years, and then tienes is you have. So remember, in Spanish, we ask, literally, we're asking somebody, how many years do you have? To ask for their age. And the way I like to think about it is just think like, how many years do you have living on this earth? Or how many years you have since you were born? So, ¿cuántos años tienes? And see the accent mark. And then ¿cuántos? Obviously is an O, so it's masculine because años is a masculine word, so everything has to agree. So ¿cuántos años tienes? Because there's also cuántas for how many, but we wouldn't say cuántas años because años is masculine, so we would go ¿cuántos años tienes? And then to say whatever years old, you would say tengo. So you would say tengo 12 años. I'm 12 years old. O tengo 13 años. I'm 13. Or tengo 14 años. O tengo 30 años. O tengo 50 años. Whatever you have. So you're saying, I have so many years. That's what we say. So this is basically a vocabulario that you would need to introduce yourself and just greet somebody, and it's important to know this. So make sure you review the greetings, saludos y despedidas video to also learn the other ways to greet and say goodbyes in español. Okay, so then the next part here, another way to say pleasure to meet you, you would say un placer conocerte. Pleasure to meet you, un placer conocerte. A pleasure to meet you, un placer conocerte. Same to you, you can say lo mismo para ti. And again, that ti is too informal. Lo mismo para ti, or you can say igualmente para ti. So you can say either way. What is your name? Informal. ¿Cómo te llamas? Like I explained in the previous slide. How are you? Informal. ¿Cómo estás? I have a question. Tengo una pregunta. I'm fine. Estoy bien. I'm bad. Estoy mal. And you? ¿Y tú? So notice that I'm using you informal, and that too is the pronoun, and the pronoun has an accent mark. So make sure you put the accent mark on that too, because if you don't put the accent mark, then it means your. So it means the possessive pronoun of yours. So it's tú with the accent mark. If you want to use the formal you would say y usted. Y usted. If you forgot something, you say olvidé. That's one way to say it, olvidé. You can say yo olvidé or simply olvidé. Or you can say se me olvidó. Se me olvidó. So like if I say se me olvidó la tarea, I forgot the homework. Se me olvidó hacer la tarea. I forgot to do the homework. Or you can say, olvidé las llaves de mi casa. I forgot the keys of my house. Olvidé las llaves. So, olvidé is one way to say it, or se me olvidó. Okay, so then we are gonna move up to las estaciones. And again, that video right there, I have a video. in my channel called El Calendario, and it's about practice asking and answering questions in Spanish about qué día es, qué tiempo hace, so you need to review that
one. Hace sol, hace calor, hace viento.
What's the weather like today? So these are different ways to say it's sunny, it's hot, hace viento.
Hace buen tiempo. Hace mal tiempo. Está cálido. Está nublado. Hay tormenta. Nieva. Llueve. Hace fresco.
Okay, so just make sure you review that video to know the different ways to say that. But the video also explains las estaciones. So las estaciones en español, we have la primavera, we have el verano, we have el invierno, y el otoño. Okay, so I'm going to explain each one of them in the next slide. So el otoño, el invierno, el verano, la primavera. So make sure you know the articles and el o la, depending on the gender, right? Okay, so a few things here to remember about las estaciones. So, ¿cuál es la estación? That's how you would ask if you want to know what is the season. So, ¿cuál es la estación? And then to answer, la estación es invierno, the season is winter, or la estación es verano. So again, these are the four estaciones, so las cuatro estaciones. La primavera usually goes from, like in the US, usually goes from like the end of February to March and April, and then we have verano, 3 months, and then el otoño, 3 months, and then el invierno that usually starts like December 21st and it goes all the way to like the end of February. Okay, so just like in English, in Spanish, seasons are not capitalized, so lowercase. The articles are normally used with the seasons. So normally you're gonna say, put the article la or el when talking about what season it is. The seasons are reversed south of the equator. So when it is winter in New York, New York the state, it is summer in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So that's just kind of like a neat thing to remember, that is not the same in everywhere in the world. Okay, so again, like I said, the articles are normally used with the seasons, but like in here, obviously, say la estación es invierno, you don't have to say the article, but if you're talking about like la primavera es, and you're describing that, like la primavera es una estación muy placentera or whatever, then you need to put the article. So we have preguntas here in your study guide. You have these preguntas like ¿qué estación es? And you have to like translate to English and then answer each question in Spanish. So ¿qué estación es? What is the season? And then you would answer la estación es invierno or la estación es verano, whatever it is. The season is winter. ¿Qué tiempo hace? ¿Qué tiempo hace is how is the weather today? Well, not today. It would be just ¿qué tiempo hace? If I want to say today, I would add hoy. But I didn't in this, so I wrote it here, but it should be just ¿qué tiempo hace? Now, ¿qué means what? Tiempo is weather, and hace is there is or it's or there is. So, ¿qué tiempo hace? What's the weather? And then to answer, you can say hace, which hace means it's or there is. Hace sol y llueve un poco. Hace sol y llueve un poco. So hace sol is it's sunny, and llueve. So llueve is a verb that is being conjugated. So this llueve means it rains, but it also means it is raining. And un poco is a little. So hace sol y llueve un poco. Okay, and then we have different ways to say el tiempo. And again, if you review the video, el calendario in my channel, you will have pictures that will be showing you all of this weather, so you can see, have a visual. It is hot, you'd say hace calor. It is cloudy, está nublado. So notice you use the verb to be and it has an accent mark. Está nublado, it is cloudy. It is cool, está fresco. You can also say it's chilly because fresco is kind of like that nice cool air. So está fresco. There is a storm, hay tormenta. So hay means there is or there are. So hay tormenta. It is foggy, hay neblina. That's one way to say it. You can also say está neblinoso. Or you can say basically those two ways. Hay neblina o está neblinoso. Now the word la niebla, that's the noun for fog or mist, okay? So la niebla sounds like la nieve, which is snow, but not quite the same spelling. But la niebla, it is fog or mist. So hay neblina o está neblinoso, okay? So neblina is also a noun. Está neblinoso. Neblinoso is an adjective. So está neblinoso. So either way will be fine. It is sunny. You can say hace sol o está soleado. O está soleado. So if you use está, then you're going to use an adjective to describe what you're talking about. So hace sol o está soleado. It is called hace frío o está frío. It is raining, llueve o está lloviendo. So just like in English, you would say it rains outside or it is raining outside, and it means the same. In Spanish, we say the same thing. So the way we use the verb and we conjugate it, even though this is, present tense, and this is like present participle with the ing in English, it is raining. It means they both mean the same. So llueve means it is rain, it rains, or it is raining, o está lloviendo. And the same with it is snowing. So you can say nieva, which means it snows, o está nevando, which also means it is snowing. So nieva means both, means it is snowing or it snows. So don't confuse nieva, which is the verb nevar being conjugated with it is, with the word la nieve. La nieve, that at the end instead of an A has an E, la nieve, which means snow. Nieva it is snowing or it snows. And then if you want to say it is bad weather, hace mal tiempo. Hace mal tiempo, the opposite, hace buen tiempo. Windy, it is windy, hace viento. The wind is el viento. It is windy, hace viento. Or you can say está and then use the adjective for windy, which is ventoso. Está ventoso. And then if you want to say it is 34 degrees or whatever degrees, you say estamos a 34 grados o estamos a 25 grados or whatever degrees. So estamos a, it is thundering. Again, you can say just like llueve and nieva, you can say truena, which is the verb conjugated here. The verb is tronar when it's thundering. Or you can say está tronando o truena. It is lightning. The verb is relampaguear. So just like it is llueve and nieva, you can say relampaguea o está relampagueando, which would be the ing form for Spanish. So está relampagueando o relampaguea, they both mean it is lightning. So if you need to pause the video and write notes in your study guide, you can always do that and then come back to the video. Okay, and now we are going to go with los días de la semana. So los días de la semana, obviously, en español, we have el lunes, el martes, el miércoles, el jueves, el viernes, el sábado, el domingo. So just a few things about that in the next slide I'm going to explain. But los días de la semana in Spanish calendars, the first day of the week is Monday. So this is a Spanish calendar that you would see, and you would see usually domingo at the end like this, and you'll be in red, and that is the last day of the week for us. So we always say the first day is lunes and the last day is domingo. And usually we say that's festivo, like a day where there's no work or school, the same with sábado. Okay, so something to notice about, I say here, recuerda with my Bimoji. So recuerda means remember, okay? So recuerda, los días de la semana. So the days of the week in Spanish are not capitalized, unlike English. And I know that's kind of weird when you're writing because you feel like it's bad grammar that you need to capitalize, but we don't. So you don't need to capitalize. The days of the week are all masculine in Spanish. So notice that it's el, 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 el. All of them are masculine. And the article is the only thing that changes in the plural form. Okay, so for example, el lunes, you would say los lunes, right? You wouldn't say los luneses. You would just say los lunes because he already ends in S. So it's already like, he already has that S at the end. So you just say los lunes to mean more than one. El martes, los martes. El miércoles, los miércoles. El jueves, los jueves. El viernes, los viernes. Now, el sábado and el domingo, because they don't have the S at the end, then you can add it when you're saying more than one. So, el sábado, los sábados, el domingo, los domingos. So, for example, if you want to say, I study on Mondays, you would say, yo estudio los lunes. Or, or if you want to say I study Monday, you would say yo estudio el lunes. Use es, which is the conjugation of the verb ser, to express the day. So if you want to say, ¿qué día es hoy? Which is what day is today. You would say hoy es. So you would say es. Hoy es martes, hoy es jueves, or whatever. And then mañana. Mañana es miércoles. So mañana, tomorrow is miércoles, okay? So use es. Okay, and now we have los meses del año. So los meses del año, we have enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, noviembre, diciembre. Okay, so a few things for you to remember, is the months of the year are not capitalized, again, just like the days, unlike English that you capitalize them. And to express in a certain month, use the preposition en. So like if you want to say, I go to Colombia in January, or I go to visit my family in June, you would say en. So voy a Colombia en enero, or voy a Colombia en marzo, or whatever. So use en instead of Yeah, just like in English, you use en. Alrighty, so... Okay, so saying and writing the date in Spanish. So to state the first day of the week, to state the first day of the month, you're going to use es el primero de, which is the first of, or el primer día de, which is the first day of. For all other days of the month, use the cardinal numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 31. But only when it's the first day of the month, you're not going to say uno. You're going to say, for example, if your birthday is on November 1st, you would say, mi cumpleaños es, and I forgot es here, but mi cumpleaños es el primero de noviembre. Okay, so this L should be an S. It's just a little typo here. So mi cumpleaños es el primero de noviembre. So my birthday is on November 1st. Or if you want, if I ask you qué día es hoy, what day is today, and today is actually the 1st, then you would say hoy es el primero de diciembre. Or you can say hoy es el primer día de diciembre. Okay? So we use primer just like in English, you'd say the first. To say the day in Spanish, we first say the day, and then we say the month, and then we say the year. Whereas in English, we say the month first, and then the day, and then the year. So in Spanish, it would be el 12 de enero del 2020, and then the abbreviated form would be 12.01.20. And in English, you would say January 12, enero 12 del 2020, and you put January, which is 01/12/20. So just pay attention to that in Spanish. First, we put the date. We write that number. So, ¿qué día es hoy? Hoy es viernes 5 de mayo. Okay, so we say the number first. Instead of saying like in English, you say today is Friday, May 5th. In Spanish, we say hoy es viernes 5 de mayo. So today is Friday 5 of May. Basically, that's what we say, 5 de mayo. ¿Qué fecha es hoy? Now, fecha means date. So usually when somebody asks you fecha, they're asking like the whole day, like they want to know the day of the month and all that, and the year. So, ¿qué fecha es hoy? So, hoy es viernes 5 de mayo del 2020. So, hoy es viernes 5 de mayo del 2020. So, that del 2020 is of the 2020. Okay, so you can pause the video and make some notes now and then continue later. So if somebody asks you ¿qué día es hoy? Again, you would answer hoy es jueves 10 de diciembre or whatever day it is. ¿Qué día fue ayer? So the word ayer means yesterday, and the word fue means was. So then you start out saying ayer fue miércoles 9 de diciembre. Yesterday was Wednesday 9 of December, because we said the day, the number first. ¿Qué día es mañana? What day is tomorrow? Mañana es viernes 11 de diciembre. And notice how none of the dates of the month are capitalized. So you don't have to do that. ¿Y cuándo es tu cumpleaños? Mi cumpleaños es el 5 de mayo. Es el 5 de mayo. Okay, so that's how you answer those questions. Okay, and then you have in your study guide a part where you have to traduce al español. So words like this. Every day is todos los días. Never es nunca. On Tuesdays, los martes. So if you want to say I go to school on Tuesdays, you would say voy a la escuela los martes. Often, there are 3 words you can use. One is frecuentemente, which means also frequently in English. So that mente in English is the equivalent to ly, like when you say frequently, and then you put the ly to make the adverb. So you can say frecuentemente, or you can say a menudo, or con frecuencia. So either one of those mean often. So if you want to say voy a la escuela con frecuencia, I go to school pretty often, or whatever. On the weekends, so that on in Spanish we say los. So los fines de semana. So weekends in Spanish is all those words. Fines de semana is weekends. Fines is end, de is of, semana is week. So we say the end of the week. So los fines de semana is weekends. Once in a while is de vez en cuando. De vez en cuando. So voy a la escuela de vez en cuando. I go to school once in a while. So voy a la escuela de vez en cuando. On Thursday, again, we would say el jueves. El jueves. Always is siempre. Always is siempre. Sometimes is a veces. Sometimes a veces. When? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? A few times a week. Varias veces a la semana. Or you can also say algunas veces a la semana. So varias veces is several times, or algunas sometimes, varias veces a la semana o algunas veces. So you can also say varias veces por semana o algunas veces por semana. So just little things like that you change in Spanish, prepositions and words like that. So you can just play around with it. So you just pick which one you want to say, but they're both correct. So varias veces por semana or varias veces a la semana. And then rarely, rara vez, and again the ly in Spanish is mente, so raramente, rarely, raramente, o casi nunca o pocas veces. So there you go. There's 4 words right there for you. So which one do you prefer? I would say to stay with the cognates, I would say rara vez or raramente. But casi nunca and pocas veces also mean the same. Okay, so this is a good break for you to pause, take some notes on your study guide, and then continue the video later. Now we are going to talk about los números. So for Spanish A, you have to know los números from 0 to 31. So I'm going to go over los números with you. Make sure you have your study guide and you can write down how to spell the numbers. And then I'm going to point out a few things. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, so notice a few things here about los números. So there's basically uno all the way to, or cero all the way to 15. There's really not a pattern. You just have to memorize each one. They're unique. They're very individual in their spelling. So you just need to know how to spell them, how to say them. And then after 16, then there's a pattern, right? So you put 10 and then the number 6 and then 10 and then the number 7. So 10 and then 7. So 17 is one word. 18 and then 19, right? So then 20 is unique, just like 30 is unique and all those that are by the tens. And then all the way from 21 to 29, there's that pattern again. So 21, one word, 22, 23. So notice that you don't put Y in between, like Y, 3, 20, Y, 2 is one word. So 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then after 30, you actually have to put the Y. So now it's going to be a different pattern. It's not going to be the pattern of 20, that is one word and it's all combined. Instead, you're going to say 31, and then 30, one word, y means end, and then 2, 33, 34, all the way to 39, and then 40, which is 40. So you can pause the video, write down these numbers, and study the spelling, and then we will continue. Now let's talk about los números 0 al 1000. So for the Spanish B, you guys have to learn all these numbers. So let's start with 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So notice the pattern here is enta, okay, all the way to 100. Now 100 is very unique, like that word 100, the same with like 1000. So 100 is 100. And then whenever you have to say like 101, 102, it's going to change to ciento. So you have to say ciento. You cannot say 101, okay? So it will be 101, 102, 103, 104, 120, 125, 130, 131, 190, 199, and so forth. So it pretty much follows the pattern of the rest that we've gone over. Okay, so 40, if you want to say 40 all the way to 49, you would say 41. So again, you have that y1, just like we talked about 31, 32. So for some reason, 20 is the only one that doesn't use y1. So it says 21, 22. So like I told you before, it's very special, 20, that it only is one word and it doesn't use the Y. So it doesn't split it into two, it's one word. So 21, 22. But the other numbers do split, so that's nice. So 41, 42, 43, 44, all the way to 49. And then 50, the same with 50, 51, 52, 53, so forth. 60, the same, 61, 62. So notice the difference between 60 and 70, 60 and 70. So it's just a T and an S in between. So 70, 60, okay? And again, the same, you put 61, 62, 63. And then we have 80, the same, 81, 82, all the way to 89. And then 90, 91, 92, 93, okay? And then, like I already mentioned, 101, 102, 103, 104. And then we get to 200. So 200, so notice the pattern in between 200, 300, 400. It's just the number 2, 3, 4, and cientos together. 500, on the other hand, is different. You don't put 500 or 500, like you would think it would continue the pattern, like 200, 300, 400. So 500 500 is unique, like 100. So those are the numbers that you probably need to want to make a note in flashcards, the numbers that don't follow the pattern. So 200, 300, 400 do, and then 500 is by itself. And then we go back to the pattern, 600. And then 700 is a little different. We don't say siete, we say sete. So 700. The same with like whenever you say 70, you say 70. So it's that sete, okay? That beginning sete. So 700. And then 800 follow the patterns, 800. And then 900 is like 700. You don't say 900, you say 900. Just like in 90, you say 90. So you say 900. And then we get to 1000, and that's 1000. So 1000. And then if you want to know more about what comes after that, it's just the same pattern. You just go 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and so forth. So the same as 101, we have 201, 202, 203, 300, 301, 302. So no need to put the Y in between. You just two words, 200, and then the number. The same with 400, 500, and 600, 700, and so forth. So these are los números del 0 al 1000. So write down the ones that follow the pattern and study spelling, and it should be pretty easy to remember once you know which ones are different. So I will pause the video now and take some notes and then continue. So in here, we're going to review los mandatos. So in your study guide, there's a section where you have to write the meaning of siéntense. So obviously, siéntense is sit down. But that's when you are talking to like a group of people. You're not just telling one person, sit down. If you want to do that, you would say siéntate o siéntese. But siéntense is you guys sit down, okay? Siéntense. Levántense, stand up. Again, a group of people, you guys stand up. Escuchen is, again, a group of people, listen up. Levanten la mano, raise your hand, the same. Bajen la mano, put your hand down, again, a group of people. All of this is like addressing people in a group, like teachers talking to students in the class. So I'm not just talking to one specific student, I'm commanding the whole class. Saquen un papel. Saquen un papel, take out a paper. Escriban, lean, hagan silencio. Hagan silencio. Silence, or you can simply say silencio, and that also means silence. Miren, 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 look. Repitan, repitan, repeat. So you have this video that I made, it's in my channel that you can review all of this and more. I have 20 here in my video, so in here there's just short of 20, but in the video you can review all the other ones. So you review 20 phrases that we use in the classroom, like saquen la tarea, vamos a escribir. So you remember, you make flashcards about this video, so you can review those to understand los mandatos, which are the commands. Now let's talk about los pronombres del sujeto, or subject pronouns. So los pronombres del sujeto are pronouns that address people, right? So yo is I, tú is you, informal singular. So remember, in Spanish we have two forms of you, one informal and one formal. So the informal is two with the accent mark. If you don't put the accent mark on the you, then it means your. then it's something else. It's not the pronoun. So we have, yo, I, tú, you informal singular, and then él, he, ella, she, usted, you formal. So él have an accent mark and tú have an accent mark. So it's very important that you put that accent mark, because again, if you don't put the accent mark on él, then it means the article the, the. So then it means something else. So on this side, notice that on one side is the singular pronouns, so meaning just one person, right? So it's yo and that's it, or tú and that's it. So each pronoun has their plural version. So if you want to know the plural of yo, it will be go to the side and it will be nosotros or nosotras. So yo is just me, but then nosotros will be me and somebody else, right? So it will be a group of people and I. So nosotros is the plural of yo. Then the plural of tú is vosotros or ustedes. So remember, tú has two different plurals. Vosotros is the one that they use in Spain. So remember that Spain, the country Spain, has two forms of tú, of you all. So one is informal, which vosotros is the one that is informal, like addressing a group of people that is like friends, not a formal setting. And then ustedes is more formal for them. Now, every other country, we use only ustedes for you all, and that is informal and formal for us. It's like the only you all form that we have. So we say ustedes, like I'm from Colombia, so I use ustedes to use you all. So the reason why we put it down here on the bottom is because that one conjugates, when you conjugate ustedes, it uses the same ending as ellos and ellas, and you will learn that in other slides as I will explain. But that's why we put it here with the other ones and not here. Vosotros is very unique, so there's a specific ending when you're conjugating that pronoun that only is good for vosotros. Where like ustedes, ellos, and ellas share the same ending, so you can use it for all three, which is nice because you only have to learn one, right? One ending. But again, you will learn that later. Okay, so going down, the plural of él is ellos, and that would be a group of people that are just male or mixed, right? And then ella, the plural of ella is ellas, and again, that would be a group of people that are only females, and that would be they, female. And then ustedes would be you all, formal and informal, so you all. Okay, so this is something, los pronombres del sujeto are very, very important to understand when learning Spanish and really English too, because this is what's gonna guide you when you use the verbs, when you're talking and referring to who's doing what. So another way to look at it is that yo, tú, él, ella, y usted are the first, are singular. So yo is the first person, so it's me doing it. You or tú informal is second person and then singular, and then él, ella, y usted are the third person singular. And then we have the same first, second, and third plural of those pronouns. Okay, so los pronombres del sujeto will replace proper names. So for example, if I give you, like in your study guide and in the test or whatever, if I give you a list of names like los estudiantes, and I'm asking you to write the subject pronoun or el pronombre del sujeto, you have to identify what los estudiantes are. So los estudiantes are the students, and los indicates that it's either males or it's a mixed group of females. So it has to be ellos, okay? So it will be ellos. María y yo. So María is a she's a female, and then yo is I. So every time it includes the pronoun yo, you're always gonna go with the plural of yo, which is nosotros or nosotras. In this case, I chose nosotras instead of nosotros because yo, I'm a female. So Maria y yo would be nosotras. Jorge y Olivia. Jorge is él y Olivia is ella. So the plural of él y ella is ellos if it's mixed. Susana is she, so is ella. El médico is a doctor, which is él. La chica is a girl, so is ella. Los hombres are men, the men, so those would be ellos because they're masculine. And then Pedro y tú, so Pedro is él, y tú is you informal. So the plural of tú is either vosotros or ustedes, right? So whenever tú has somebody else in the picture, you're always gonna go with the plural of tú, which will be vosotros or ustedes. Vosotros will be used in Spain. Ustedes will be used in other countries. And then that abbreviation right there, SR, is the abbreviation in Spanish for Señor. Señor, which in English would be Mr., which would be an M and an R and a period. So Señor Rodriguez is he, so it would be él. And then the next one is Señora, and that's the abbreviation for Mrs. And that's Señora Valencia. So that would be ella. Y usted would be you formal. So the plural of usted is ustedes. So something here to remember so it's easier for you to identify the subject pronoun when asked is that every time you see the subject pronoun yo with other names or other people, you're always going to go with nosotros or nosotras, depending on if it's mixed genders or whatever. So it's always going to be that. And every time you see tú and other people, you're always going to go with the plural of tú, which will be vosotros or ustedes. And every time you see usted and other people, you're always going to go with the plural of usted, which will be ustedes. And then when you don't see any of those, like when you don't see yo and somebody else, or tú and somebody else, or usted, then it's always going to be ellos o ellas, right? Like el médico y la chica o los hombres. So, for example, here we can practice in here. We have mi padre, mi hermana y yo. It will be nosotros. Jordan, Senia y yo will be nosotras. Taylor, Izzy, Nolan y tú will be vosotros o ustedes. Jordan, AJ y Seño will be ellos. El doctor y la doctora will be ellos. El policía y la joven will be ellos, because el policía is the police officer, so he or él, y la joven is a youngster, like a young girl, so that would be she, so the plural of él and ella would be ellos. Los estudiantes, los profesores y usted, so again it has that usted word right there, that's the key, so I have to go with the plural of usted, which is ustedes. El joven, which is a youngster, a young boy, would be él. Señora García y la señora Rodríguez, Señor García y señora Rodríguez would be él y ella, so it would be ellos. And then la joven y yo, it would be nosotros, because it includes me. So in here on the bottom, I wrote the abbreviations that we use in Spanish. So SR is señor, SRA is señora, SRTA is señorita or miss in English. And then we also abbreviate the pronouns usted and ustedes. So usted will be a UD and a period, and ustedes UD and an S, and that's ustedes. So make sure you take some notes on that, because sometimes you will see it like that, and you need to remember that that's the actual pronoun, okay? Now we are going to practice the question words in Spanish. So again, I have a video that I made that you need to review, and the video gives you more examples, more explanations, and you can find it in my Spanish mini lessons playlist in my channel, but it's called Learn Spanish Question Words. So when you click on that video, you will see, I'll go over the Spanish question words, so I'll go over all of them.
¿Quién? ¿Quiénes? ¿Dónde?
So I list them all here. I'll explain, and then I'll give you examples of how to use them. So it's actually you can practice like the question word, and with an example. Okay.
¿Qué significa?
So make sure you review that video to get a better understanding of los interrogativos, which is what we call question words in Spanish. We have que, which is what, quién, which is who, quiénes, which is who, plural, donde, which is where, de donde is from where, a donde, where to, por qué, why, how many, we say cuántos, again, it has to agree in gender and quantity, so cuántos and cuántas, or cuánto and cuánta, which would be how much, and then cuándo, which would be when. And again, if you click on that video, I have the link right there. You can review how to use this in specific questions. But remember that all question words in Spanish have accent marks. So you need to remember that, because if you don't put the accent mark, then it means something else, okay? Something important that I want you to know is, like, when you are talking about like yourself and you want to describe yourself or ask about, how somebody is and you want to describe, you're going to use the question word como. So como es, and then you put the name of the person. So como es Maria, right? So I'm asking, like, how is she? How is her personality? So como es Maria? If I want to know how you are, like your personality, I'll ask you, ¿cómo eres tú? ¿Cómo eres tú? So I want you to tell me like traits about your personality. So you could say anything like soy sociable y amigable, soy simpático, soy sencillo, soy extrovertido, or whatever. So we use como es to ask about personality. So make a note on that. The definite and indefinite articles in Spanish. So we have two different articles. Some are called indefinite and some are called definite. So let's talk about those, and just make sure you are on that page in your study guide where they ask you about indefinite and definite articles. Okay, so the indefinite article indicates an unspecified or an identified noun. So, for example, if I say un perro, right? If I say un perro is a dog. So that's just a dog. I'm not saying a specific dog, just un perro. So use un, which in English would be a, for masculine and singular nouns. Use una, which also means a in English, for feminine and singular nouns. So again, like manzana is an apple, so I would have to say una instead of un manzana because it ends in a, so it's feminine. Use unos, which means some, and unas also means some. So use unos for masculine and plural nouns. So like if I say unos perros, some dogs, right? Unos perros, that's indefinite. Like I don't know the exact number. It's just unos perros, some dogs. And then again, you would do the same, but you would say unas if the noun is feminine. So unas manzanas, some apples. Unas because manzanas is encine and is las manzanas. So unas manzanas. So basically that's what indefinite articles are. So indefinite articles in English are a and some. So in English you just have two. In Spanish you have four because one is for feminine and one is for masculine, but it's pretty much the same concept. So now let's talk about definite articles. So definite articles indicates a specific or identified noun. So that one you'd know for a fact what you're talking about and what you're referring to. So again, there are 4 in Spanish. So we have el or la, which both of them means the. El is for a masculine singular noun. So like if you say, ¿Dónde está el cuaderno? The el cuaderno would be the in English, and el, it would be because it's el cuaderno, is a masculine, cuaderno is masculine, and the article is el. And then use la for a feminine singular noun. So if you say, ¿Quién tiene la mochila? Right? So who has the mochila? So again, you would use la if you're referring to a noun that is feminine. So la mochila is the backpack, and you would say la. And then you have the definite articles for the plural feminine and plural masculine. So los and las, which is the. So in this case, in English, you only have one definite article, which is the, and in Spanish, you got 4. But in Spanish, again, it has to agree with gender and number. So then using the same example of cuaderno, if I want to say, ¿Dónde están los cuadernos? I would have to say los and put an S in cuadernos. Where are the notebooks? And ¿quién tiene las mochilas? Again, I have to put an S at mochilas, and it's las. Okay, so please know that when preceded by the preposition a or de in Spanish, the masculine singular definite article changes. So the preposition and article blend into one word. For example, a, el become al, and de plus el becomes del. So you will see that in Spanish a lot, that we don't say del, we just say del or al. And then unlike English, the definite articles is used in Spanish to indicate the general sense of a noun. So for example, in Spanish, we would say, ¿Te gusta el pollo? But in English, you would say you like chicken. You wouldn't say you like the chicken unless it's like a specific type of chicken. But if it's something general in Spanish, we use the definite article. So, ¿Te gusta el pollo? Okay, so now in here, I have this exercise that you have in your worksheet, in your study guide, where it says fill in the blank with the correct definite article. So you have libro. So libro is singular and it's masculine, so I have to go with el. You have cuaderno, singular, masculine, so el cuaderno. Mochilas is plural and is feminine, so I have to go with las mochilas. The same with los hombres. La mujer, so mujer is woman, so is la mujer. Mujer is feminine singular, so I have to go with la. La nación, it is we say la nación, so that's one of those words that you might think it might be el because it kind of ends in n. But that word right there is feminine and is singular, so you would say la nación, the nation. La clase, los chicos, the boys. El mercado, the market. Las muchachas, the girls, the young girls. Las muchachas. So that's what that means when it's asking you to fill in the blank with the correct definite article. Okay, and we have now in here, it says fill in the blank with the indefinite article. So it gives you a list of words and you have to use the indefinite article. So remember, the indefinite articles are un, una, unos, or unas. Some, which in English would be a or some. So we have carpetas, pluma, bolígrafos, diccionario, televisión. So let's see what goes there. So we would be unas carpetas, some binders, una pluma, one feather or one, in some countries pluma means pen. So una pluma, but pluma also means feather. So una pluma, unos bolígrafos, which is pens, bolígrafos, so some pens, un diccionario, a dictionary, una televisión, a TV, una cama, one bed, una computadora, one computer, unos zapatos, some shoes, unas puertas, some doors, un teléfono, one telephone. Okay, so that is the indefinite article. So make sure you pause the video and you make some notes about definite articles that are la, el, la, los, and las, and indefinite article, which is una, un, unos, and unas. Okay. So now in here, you have this part in your study guide where you have to put the mixed, right? So in this one, they want you to do both definite and indefinite articles. So the friend, F, that means female. So it's la amiga, because in Spanish we have el amigo, which would be a masculine friend, and then la amiga, a female. A policeman is un policía, un policía. The girlfriend, la novia. Some children, unos niños. The boyfriend, el novio. The boys, los chicos, or los niños, or los muchachos. So like I explained earlier, there's all those three words mean, they mean boys, but remember niños is more like children. A young woman is una joven, and then a young man is un joven. The family, la familia. A teacher could be un maestro o una maestra if it's a female, or you can say un profesor o una profesora. Okay, so that's what that means. Okay, so there's a part in the study guide where it says if a word ends with a vowel, how do you make it plural? So if a word ends in a vowel, you just add an S to it. So for example, the word casa, which is house. If you want to say make it plural, you would say casas. So you just put an S at the end. So that's super easy. If it ends in a vowel, you just put an S. If it ends in a consonant, how do you make it plural? So you would put an ES. So for example, if it ends in acción, the word action, and you want to say actions, you would put an ES at the end, and it would be acciones, acciones. So it would change to that, right? For example, the word unidad, which means unit, unidad, ends in D. If you want to make that plural, you would add an ES. So unidades, unidades, okay? If a word ends with a Z, how do you make it plural? So for that one, you have to change the Z to a C, and then you add an ES. So one common example is the word lápiz, which is pencil. So lápiz is pencil. So to say pencils, you would say lápices. So you change the Z for a C, and then you add an ES. So lápices. So that's what you need to write there in your study guide. So make sure you pause the video and you make those notes. Now let's talk about the verb tener. The verb tener, which means to have. So remember, all verbs in Spanish, just like in English, you conjugate them and they have a tense, right? If you're talking about it in the present, in the past, in the future. In this case, this is the conjugation chart for tener in the present tense or the present indicative. So a conjugation chart basically is you make a straight line and then you make two lines across. And then you're going to put your subject pronouns or los pronombres del sujeto that I explained earlier. And on one side goes the singular pronouns and the other side goes the plural. So yo, which is I, is the singular, and then the plural is nosotros. And then tú is, you, informal, and then the plural is vosotros, and then él, ella, usted. They all go together, él, ella, usted. And that's because they share that same ending, or the verb conjugates the same in all those three pronouns. So for él, ella, usted is the same. And the same with the plural for ellos, ellas, y ustedes. They stay together because it's the same, the verb conjugates the same. So let's practice with some sentences. So let's see how tener works. So we use tener to talk about, so the verb tener is actually a verb that is very, it has many uses in Spanish. So like we use tener to when we have to do something, right? Just like in English, like I have to study for the exam. You would say tengo que. So that have to is tengo, and then that te, that tu is que in Spanish. So tengo que, tengo que, tengo que. So tengo que estudiar, tengo que limpiar, I have to clean the house, tengo que ir, I have to go, tengo que comer, I have to eat. So remember that when you have to say you have to do something, you use tener, you have to use que after tener. So it goes together. And then you also use tener when you have something. Just like in English, you say, I have $10. I have this in my pocket, or whatever. So tengo $10. Tengo dos lápices. Tengo dinero. Tengo manzanas, or whatever. Or ella tiene un hermano. When you're talking about, like, if you have siblings, just like in English, you say, I have a brother. She has a brother. Ella tiene un hermano. So notice about tiene is for ella, tengo is for yo, tenemos is for we. So that's what that means when we have the conjugation chart here. That's what you need to pretty much learn and memorize. But again, in the beginning is memorization because you've never used this. But the more you read and the more you practice with people and watch TV and listen to Spanish speaking, movies or songs or talk to people, the more it's going to come natural in your ear. But this is basically the rule. If you are talking about ella, you have to say tiene, and for tú is tiene. So these forms right here, tengo, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen, they're pretty much set. You have to use those, and that's why it's helpful sometimes to have the conjugation chart and to memorize it, so you know how to use the verb. Okay, so let's go back to that slide that I was talking to you. So ella tiene un hermano, she has a brother. Tienes suerte, you're lucky. So this one is different. In English, you say you are lucky. In Spanish, we say tienes, you have luck. So you have luck, tienes suerte. We also use it to express age, and that's completely different in English, right? In English, you don't use I have 20 years, I have 14 years. You use the verb to be. In Spanish, we use the verb tener. So to express age, tengo 14 años. I'm 14 years old. Tengo 15 años. Tengo 12 años. We also use tener to express basic needs. So tengo sed, I'm thirsty. Tengo sueño, I'm sleepy. Tengo hambre, I'm hungry. Tengo calor, I'm hot. Tengo frío, I'm cold, and so forth. So in English, you use am. So you use the verb to be. I am thirsty, I am sleepy, I'm hungry, I'm hot, I'm cold. In Spanish, we use the verb tener. So tengo is like you have thirst, you have sleep, you have cold in you. So we use tengo. We also use tener to express some states of being. For example, if you say, I'm afraid. In Spanish, we use the verb tener, so we would say like, tengo miedo. So miedo is fear, so I have fear, tengo miedo. Tengo ganas de comer helado. I feel like eating ice cream. Tengo ganas is an expression we use in Spanish. Tengo ganas de is I feel like doing whatever. Tengo ganas de comer, so I feel like eating. Or tengo ganas de correr, I feel like running. Or tengo ganas de comprar, I feel like buying. So tengo ganas de is that expression in English, I feel like whatever. Tienes razón. When you want to say you're right, you would use tener. Tienes razón. You're right. Or I'm right. Tengo razón. I am in a hurry. Tengo prisa. I'm in a hurry. If you're in a hurry, I would say tienes prisa. Tengo pena. I'm embarrassed. O tienes pena. You're embarrassed. So tengo is I have. Tienes, you have. Pena, which is like embarrassment when you're embarrassed. Tengo pena por lo que pasó. I feel bad. I'm sorry for what happened. Tengo pena por lo que pasó. So use tener to talk about physical descriptions as it is used in English too, like when you say I have long hair. So I would say tengo el pelo largo, right? So I have long hair. Tengo el pelo largo. Pelo is hair. Largo is long. Tengo los ojos verdes. I have green eyes, which I don't have green eyes, but if you do, you would say tengo los ojos verdes, o tengo los ojos azules, o tengo los ojos negros, which is more what I have, like tengo los ojos negros. Okay, the next part of the study guide, we want to talk about Spanish classroom objects. And this is, there's also a video in my channel that tells you 51 Spanish classroom objects. So basically everything that you would find in a classroom. It's pretty comprehensive list, and you've made flashcards of many of those terms. But if you go on the video, you will learn, you will see a lot of the words that are in your study guide. So we have la pizarra, and then I'll repeat the pronunciation so you can like practice.
La puerta.
The door, la puerta.
La mesa.
La mesa. And then I'll give you the article too. So the article, the definite article. So la mesa, la puerta, la silla, el cuaderno. So make sure you practice, you watch that to learn all the classroom objects that you need to know. Okay, but in your study guide, you have these specific ones that you need to fill out. So it says write the Spanish name including the article. So the definite article, el, la, los, or las. So backpack, la mochila, pencil, el lápiz, book, el libro, binder, la carpeta, notebook, el cuaderno, eraser, el borrador, marker, el marcador, board, la pizarra, laptop, la portátil. So remember, I always say la portátil is like something portable. You can also say la computadora, but I like to say la portátil because that's a word that you don't hear much. And it's one that we use often in Spanish-speaking countries. So la portátil is like Chromebook, laptop. La silla, la mesa, el bolígrafo, el papel, el sacapuntas. So this word right here, pencil sharpener. So notice how sacapuntas ends in S. So you might think, wait, sacapuntas. So is that like a bunch of pencil sharpeners? No, it is only one. So sacapuntas, that's the word for pencil sharpener. But if I want to say like many, like the sharpeners, like more than one, I just change the L for los. So I would say los sacapuntas because the word already ends in S. So I'm not going to add an ES because we don't do that in Spanish when the ends in S. So we just say el sacapuntas or los sacapuntas. Teacher, if it's a male teacher, we say el profesor or el maestro. And if it's a female teacher, we can say la maestra or la profesora. And then students, we say los estudiantes. Or you can also say las estudiantes if there's just female students. And then like highlighter, el resaltador. And there's again other words in my video that you can learn that are not in this list. Okay, and then the other thing you need to learn is las asignaturas or las materias when you're talking about school subjects. So the topics and the classes that you have in school. So there's that video again that I made that you had to make flashcards and review. So if you click on it, you can learn las asignaturas. So
teatro,
you know, theater, teatro,
gimnasio,
gimnasio,
asesoramiento,
So there's many of them.
Ciencias de la computación. Ciencias de la computación. Física.
Okay, so there's all those subjects you can practice. So make sure you review that video so you understand. One in your study guide, you have a few that you have to fill in. So go ahead and get your study guide out and start writing this. Make sure you get the spelling correctly. So historia is history. Historia americana. Artes del lenguaje, language arts. Lenguaje is just language. Matemáticas is kind of like in English we say mathematics, but notice like in English we abbreviate it. We just say math. In Spanish, there's no abbreviation for that. You just say the whole word. So matemáticas. PE or physical education, we say educación física. Art, we say arte. Ciencias, science. Geografía, español, gimnasio, almuerzo, which almuerzo is your favorite, right? Your favorite asignatura. Another thing you need to practice saying is talk about what you have in your mochila, in your backpack. So like, if I ask you like, ¿qué tienes en tu mochila? What do you have? Notice the verb tener, tienes, en tu mochila, in your mochila. So notice that tu there, that doesn't have the accent mark because that tu doesn't mean you, it means your. So it's the possessive pronoun. So, ¿qué tienes en tu mochila? What do you have in your mochila? So how do you answer that question? Well, you would say, en mi mochila tengo means I have, tengo un libro. Or you can say, en mi mochila tengo a bunch of stuff, right? So en mi mochila tengo la portátil, 5 cuadernos, un bolígrafo y 3 carpetas, right? So now you're telling me all the stuff you have in your mochila. So you need to go in your mochila and practice what you have. So go through it because I don't know qué tienes en tu mochila. I don't know what's in your mochila. So you have to just practice and know that you would say, en mi mochila tengo, and then you start listing the stuff you have. Another way to ask that question is, ¿qué hay en tu mochila? So, ¿qué is what? I is there is, or there are. So, ¿qué hay en tu mochila? What is there or what is it in your mochila? So remember the word I looks like hoy, H-O-Y, which hoy means today, but I means there is or there are. So don't confuse those two words, okay? And remember that the H is silent, so you don't say hey, you don't say hi, you say I. So, ¿qué hay en tu mochila? So then you would use the same I to answer. So you would say, en mi mochila hay un libro y un lápiz, o en mi mochila hay 5 cuadernos, un bolígrafo, 3 carpetas, or whatever. Okay, so it's the same way. You just, instead of saying tengo, you would say I. If we're talking about your schedule, so tu horario de clases, horario is schedule. And I say, ¿qué clase tienes a las 8:30? So what class do you have at 8:30? ¿Qué clase tienes a las 8:30? So a las 8 is at. Okay, so we say a las 8:30 is half. So media is half, means half, but it's like 30 minutes. Because if you think about it, an hour is, when you split an hour in half, is 60 divided by 2 is 30, so that's half. So 8:30 is 8:30. So, ¿qué clase tienes a las 8:30? So I'm asking you with the verb tener, so you would use the verb tener to answer I have, which for I have is tengo, tengo. So tengo la clase de español, right? You would say tengo, I have Spanish class, or tengo ciencias, or tengo la clase de arte, or whatever class you have. Another word we use in Spanish when we're talking about time is cuarto. So cuarto is quarter. So quarter is 15 minutes in an hour. So if you think about it, an hour has 4 quarters. 15 minutes times 4 equals 60 minutes. So if I say, ¿qué clase tienes a las 11:15? So 11 and a quarter, or 11:15. So you would say, tengo la clase de literatura. I forgot to put de there, but it should be tengo la clase de literatura. I have literature. And so we use media, we use cuarto, or you can just say a las 11:15 if you want to. Or you can say, ¿qué clase tienes a la 1:20? Like 1:20, tengo la clase de matemáticas. So again, that should be a de there. After clase should be la clase de matemáticas. I forgot to put it there. But should be tengo la clase de matemáticas. So make sure you take some notes on this so you know how to talk about what qué hay en tu mochila o qué tienes en tu mochila. And make sure to practice that vocabulario. And if you need to watch those videos that I have to review and practice listening to the pronunciation, that would be really helpful. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the verb gustar. So the verb gustar, we use gustar to express likes and dislikes. So me gusta, no me gusta, I like, I don't like. And again, there's also a video I made in my channel for you to review and to practice. So if you click on that video, me gusta jugar baloncesto, me gusta jugar videojuegos, les gusta el pájaro amarillo, and so forth. Now, when you start watching the video, I start explaining how we use gustar in detail. So I would recommend you watch the video because I am going to explain to you how when we use the verb gustar, we don't use subject pronouns like yo, tú, él, ella. Instead, we use the indirect object pronouns, so el objeto indirecto, which is me, tele, nos, os, les. So make sure you review that to understand how we use it. So we would never say, like, I like, we would never say yo gusto, right? We would never say yo gusto or tú gusta. We use the indirect object pronouns to talk about those things. So, for example, when you use gustar and you want to talk about something that you like to do, like you're using a verb, an action word, you're always going to use gustar plus the verb in the infinitive form. So a verb in the infinitive form in Spanish are always going to end in either AR, ER, or IR. Those are the 3 endings of the verbs in Spanish. In English, the verbs in infinitive are like to dance, to eat, to run, to whatever. So it has that to in front. So when talking about personal likes and dislikes, like if I want to say me gusta bailar, I like to dance. So notice that I use the indirect object pronoun me instead of yo, instead of the el pronombre del sujeto or subject pronoun yo. So I use me to talk about I like. So me gusta bailar. And then bailar is the verb and it's in the infinitive. It ends in AR. And you don't need anything between gusta and then the verb. You just go straight to the verb. Like in English, you say, I like to dance. In Spanish, you just say, me gusta, and then go right straight to the verb. Okay, me gusta bailar. Me gusta estudiar lengua. I like to study language. Me gusta correr un poco. I like to run a little. Me gusta mucho ver la tele. I like to watch TV a lot. So tele is the abbreviation for television. Or if you don't like something, you just put the no in front of the indirect object pronoun, which is me or le or te. So you would just say no and then me gusta and then whatever. No me gusta leer libros. I don't like reading books. Or no me gusta comer pizza, or no me gusta comprar, or whatever you want to say. We also talk about, so when you want to talk about what somebody else's likes and dislikes, then you would say, a mi amiga Ana le gusta bailar y estudiar. So you're referring to somebody, so you would use a mi amiga. So to my friend Ana, le gusta, le is the indirect object pronoun for she when you're addressing ella. So a mi amiga Ana le gusta bailar y estudiar lengua. So my friend Ana likes to dance and study language. If you want to use, talk about what she, he, or you like, then you say le. That's the indirect object pronoun for those three pronouns. So remember how él, ella, y usted are together. When you do the conjugation chart, they're together. And the same with like ellos, ellas, y ustedes are together, meaning they shared the same ending in the verb, or the same indirect object pronoun, or whatever we use. So in this case, le is for all three. So if I say le gusta correr un poco, that can be she, he, or you formal, like to run a little. So if I want to specify who, if it's she, he, or you, I would say a ella le gusta correr un poco. So just like I did here when I put a, so I would use that. The preposition a. So I would say a ella le gusta correr un poco, o a él le gusta correr un poco, o a usted le gusta correr un poco. And if I want to use the name of the person, I would just say a María le gusta correr un poco, a Miguel le gusta correr un poco, or if it's you, I would say a ti te gusta correr un poco, o a mí me gusta correr un poco. Okay? So le gusta mucho ver la tele, he, she, or you formal likes to watch TV. And if it's negative, you just put the no in front. So no le gusta leer libros. So me gusta, I like it. Me gusta mucho, I like it a lot. No me gusta, I don't like it. Me gusta un poco. So un poco is a little. A ella le gusta, a él le gusta, a ella no le gusta, a él no le gusta. So remember, this a él, a ella, or a Miguel, a Sofía is when you are being really specific and you want people to know, to be clear who you are talking about. Because if you just say le gusta comer, le gusta leer, we don't know if you're talking about he, she, or you formal, right? Because that le is good for all those three pronouns. So just remember that a él, o a ella, o a usted, or a Miguel, whatever, makes it specific, and that's what you would need to do when you want to be specific who you are referring to. Okay, so if you go in my channel, in my playlist, I have a really fun video that is called Learn the Verb Gustar and Make It a Fun Game. So this one is just, you get to like play a game and quiz yourself in a fun way. So this is after you learn the rules.
A ellos les gustan
So it's
las
gonna give
películas
you
de miedo. 15. A nosotros nos gusta tocar la guitarra. 16.
It's 20 exercises, 20 sentences using Gustar. And then it gives you multiple choices, so you have to pick the right one. You have a timer, so you can pause it and then quiz yourself after you study the previous video I made about how to use Gustar. to see how you do. Okay, so that's something that you need to do to practice and get better at using GUSTAR. Next thing we have Verbos de Actividades, and that's so go ahead and find that page in your study guide. Again, just so you know, Spanish A has some of these are not in your study guide because you haven't learned those yet, but Spanish B has this, so make sure you find them and you write them down, what they mean. So verbos de actividades, verbs that indicate activity, so like cantar, to sing. And this is just a list of verbs that you just need to know and be familiar with because we use them to talk about. These are verbs that come up a lot in the novels we read when we are talking with our friends. And when you're talking about what you like to do, so remember all verbs in Spanish will end either in AR, ER, or IR. So we have cantar, bailar, limpiar, and just see next to it what each means. I have it there for you so you can write down the meaning. So I'm going to go down so you know how to say it. Estudiar, dibujar, cocinar, nadar, correr, patinar, organizar, dormir, leer, comer, hacer nada is actually to do nothing, so hacer nada, jugar videojuegos, jugar a un deporte, so jugar is to play, okay, so jugar videojuegos, obviously play video games. Jugar a un deporte, deporte es sport, so jugar a un deporte, play sport. Escuchar means to listen, but escuchar música, to listen to music. Hablar means to talk or to speak, but hablar con amigos, to talk to friends. Practicar un deporte. Pasar tiempo con amigos. Pasar is like past, and then tiempo is time, con, with, amigos, friends. So pasar tiempo con amigos, spend time with friends. Ir al cine, so the verb ir means to go, so ir al cine. Ver, watch, la tele, tele short for television. Ir de compras, go shopping. Hacer ejercicios, to exercise. Tocar la guitarra, to play the guitar. Remember that in Spanish we say to touch the guitar to mean we play the guitar. So tocar, the verb tocar means to touch. Okay, it literally means to touch. Like if I'm touching something, I'm touching this bottle. Toco, yo toco esta botella. O yo toco mi celular, I touch my cell phone. So tocar means to touch, but when we're talking about an instrument, we would say tocar la guitarra, like I'm not touching it, I'm playing it, but that's what it means in English. So tocar la guitarra, the same with this piano, tocar el piano, I'm playing the piano, I'm touching it, I'm playing it. So just remember that in Spanish we say tocar la guitarra, tocar el piano, and that means to play the guitar or to play the piano in English. Ir de vacaciones, to go on vacation. Okay, so make sure you write this down and review them. In here, you have in your study guide, you have to write down the meaning of each AR verb. So I gave them here for you. They're right there. So if you want to pause the screen or pause the video so you can write down what each means. I'll go over the pronunciation for you. So let's start with to speak, which is hablar. Okay. Hablar, nadar, regresar, besar, trabajar, limpiar, esquiar, pintar, ganar, caminar, tocar. And the reason why we put tocar and we put to touch, to play, it's not that tocar means to play, it means to touch. It's just to play. When we're talking about tocar la guitarra, that's what it means in English, that we play the guitar. But don't get to play and tocar confused, okay? To play in Spanish is jugar, and to touch is tocar. It's just that when we're talking about instruments, we say tocar la guitarra, which in English would be to play. Ok, continuamos. Preparar, saltar, tomar, acampar, practicar, escuchar, sacar, abrazar, descansar, estudiar, dibujar, bailar, viajar, comprar, llorar, cantar, lavar, mirar. So lots of AR verbs there. Okay, so continuamos with AR verbs. Visitar, cocinar, and some of this I've already mentioned, but I'm just going down the study guide and making sure I covered all the verbs and all the information for you. So if you're like, she already said that one, just enjoy it again and practice hearing it. The more you hear, the more you are going to learn. So it's not going to hurt you. Visitar, cocinar, necesitar, entrar, llegar, llevar, descansar, ayudar, terminar, preparar, sacar la basura. So to take out the trash, sacar, remember sacar is to take out, basura is trash, and la is the article. So sacar la basura. To look for, buscar, llamar, pescar, montar. So like if you like to ride a bicycle, montar en bicicleta, montar a caballo, ride a horse. Esperar, contestar, cuidar, organizar, desear, mirar, invitar, fumar. So to smoke is fumar, and the reason we include it here is obviously you will see, in many places, prohibido fumar, like smoking is prohibited. So make sure you review that verb because there are many places where that's prohibited, and I want you to understand what that verb means, fumar. Or like in the school, no se fuma, smoking is not allowed. So fumar is an AR verb. Okay, so then the next thing we are going to talk about
in the present.
Okay, so in this video, again, that you can find in my playlist in Spanish mini lessons in my channel, I explained to you the rules of conjugating AR, ER, and IR verbs. So the video is very detailed, so you need to, that would be good to pause this video now, watch that video so you understand the rules, and so you can continue with the study guide and learning how to use those verbs, all those verbs that we've covered. But the video will explain to you how to use them. It starts out with los pronombres personales or the subject pronouns that we talked about, yo, tú. So remember, these are very, very important to understand because this is kind of like the foundation for you to learn how to use the verbs and how to talk. So yo, remember in one side, you got your singular pronombres or pronouns, and the next to it, you have the plural. So you have yo, nosotros, tú, vosotros, él, ellos, ella, ellas, usted, ustedes, okay? So I reviewed that in the video, and then I am giving you the endings for each pronoun. So this is why the pronouns are so important. Because when you use AR verbs that are like regular AR verbs, you have to drop the AR, meaning take it off when you are using it in each of these pronouns, and replace the AR with those letters. So like if I want to use estudiar, let's say, which means to study, and I want to say I study, which is yo, I have to take out the AR, and in here it tells me I have to put an O. So I would say yo estudio, I study. And if I want to say we, like let's say my friends and I, we study, I have to take out the AR and say nosotros estudiamos. So make sure you write the charts, and I'm going to give them to you here in the explanations, but make sure you write the charts and understand how each group of verb in Spanish, so we have AR, ER, and IR, have a conjugation chart just like this one, and each pronoun has a specific ending where you have to take out those two letters, the AR, ER, or IR, and change it for one of these. So make sure you understand that and you write it down. Okay, so for example, in here, I'm giving you the ones for AR. So I'll give you the conjugation chart for AR verbs. So basically, you just make a line, a straight line, two across, put an O, AS, A on one side, and then on the other one, you put amos, eyes. Notice that the vosotros always is going to have that an accent mark in one of the vowels. So eyes for AR verbs in the present tense has the accent mark on the A. And then ellos, ellas, and ustedes share the same ending, just like el, ella, and usted. I give you here, this is a plain chart. And this is kind of like the ones I like to make. So if I would be you, I would get like a sticky note or a index card and just write my little charts and just put, those letters. And again, in the beginning, you only have to do this until you get used to it and it becomes more natural. But then you will get to a point where you won't need that because you already know and it will come natural to you as you continue learning and using Spanish. This one is for ER. So ER, these are the endings for each subject pronoun. So for example, the verb comer, which is an ER verb, that means to eat. If I want to say we eat at Chick-fil-A, let's say, we would say I have to drop off the ER because I'm going to use it, I'm going to conjugate it, and it's we, so I have to put an EMO, so I have to put EMO. So I would say, nosotros comemos en Chick-fil-A. We eat at Chick-fil-A. So that's what that means. What that means is that if you want to use the verb and in conversation and you want to talk about it and say something you do, you have to use one of these endings depending on who you're talking about. So if you're talking about your sister or your brother, that would be an E because that would be él, ella, and then you would have to take out the ER and put an E. So if you want to say like, my sister eats at Chick-fil-A, you would say mi hermana come en Chick-fil-A. Okay, so that's what that means. And if you want to say yo eat in Chick-fil-A, you would say yo como. Okay, so you would take out the ER at the end and put an O because now you're using it with you. So yo como en Chick-fil-A. Okay, so that's what that means. And then IR verbs, this is the ending. So some of them are similar in some of the pronouns and some of them change in specific pronouns. So you just have to look at them and study them and see how they change. For example, notice something cool about AR, ER, and IR. So the O is always the same for yo. And then for nosotros, goes with the A. So for AR verbs is amos, for ER verbs is emos, and for IR verbs is imos. Okay, so that's kind of cool. That is, it goes with that, so you can remember that. And then I'm trying to see. Okay, so some of them are the same in some, but then they change in the other two. So you just have to see that. The other one that follows the AR, ER, and IR pattern, like we, is for vosotros. So if it's vosotros, it's eyes in AR, and then A's in ER, and then E's in IR. So that's kind of cool how it does that. Once you know and you practice these conjugations, you will know automatically. Like if I give you the subject pronouns, and I just say, okay, what is the ending that you put for AR verbs? So for yo, it would be an O. So like for yo would be an O, and then for the two would be AS, and then so forth, okay? Now in here, this is also in your study guide, so go ahead and find that one. I'm not sure if it's in both Spanish A or B, but it should be in one of them. So in here it's asking you to write the correct form of the verb. So notice that all of these verbs end in AR, so they are AR verbs. So I put in here, right here on the bottom, the conjugation chart or the table for the AR verbs and the endings. So what you need to do when you drop off the AR. So for estudiar, you drop off the AR. The pronombre is yo, so it tells me here you have to put an O, so it will be estudio. For ellos, in here it tells me that ellos is AN, so you would have to put an AN. So nosotros, ellos dibujan, to draw. And then nosotros is amos, so lavamos. Tú bailas is AS, so bailas. Ella, fumar. Ella would be an A, so fuma. And then usted, which is you formal, cantar is an A, so canta. Ellas, hablar, ellas hablan. Vosotros trabajáis. Yo, nadar is nado. And then Marta y yo, which would be Marta y yo, would be a plural. So the plural of yo, which is nosotros. So that one would be amos, so viajamos. So make sure you don't get confused when you see an exercise like this where it's asking you to write the correct form of the verb, but it gives you like a name of a person and then a pronoun. So you might think, oh, it's giving me the pronoun yo, so I'm going to go with yo, which would be an O, and then just put yo viajo. Be careful with that because it's giving you other names. So you always have to pay attention how many people are in the sentence who's doing what. So in this case, I'm doing it with somebody else. In this case, it's Marta. So I have to go with the plural pronoun of yo, which is nosotros, and then I have to use that ending for the verb. Okay, so then you have other pronouns, other exercises where you have to write the correct form of the verb. So in here you have hablar, caminar, viajar, mirar, y esquiar. And then I give you the conjugation chart here to help you out, to help you get used to it until, like I said, it comes natural to you. But then it will be tú hablas, ellos caminan, yo viajo, Juan mira. And the last one, what does the last one say as covered? Julia esquía, okay? This one is, again, this one has AR, so it would be ustedes pintan, nosotros pescamos, mis amigos, what pronoun would that be? So mis amigos, remember, is my friends, so it's ellos, right? Because it cannot be nosotros because I'm not there. It cannot be ustedes because usted is not there. It cannot be vosotros because tú is not there. So it has to be ellos or ellas. So mis amigos. Usted, this is the abbreviation for usted, you formal toca, and then vosotros estudiáis. And then in this one right here is asking you to translate to English. So now we have here a group of IR and ER verbs in Spanish. So we have vivir, which means to live, subir, which means to go up, correr, to run, aprender, to learn, comer, to eat. And then in here is asking you to do the opposite, to translate this to Spanish. So to read, leer, to attend, asistir, to open, abrir. That's the one here that I can see now. To believe, creer, and to write, escribir. So if you need to pause the video and write this down, go ahead and do so. So you can take notes in your study guide. Here again, I give you all the charts for each of the endings. So make sure, again, you make like little flashcards or write them down. And you don't have to write like all those things, like all the pronouns. You just need to write a line, two across, and then put O, A, S, A, amos, eyes, and then put AR. And then do one for ER and IR, okay? So you remember what comes where. You're gonna have exercises like this in your study guide, in the final, and these types of exercises are just practice for you to help you use those verbs correctly when you are talking in conversation. Again, the best way, obviously, is when we're reading novels, when we're listening to people talking, because they're just using them naturally, right? But right now, you need to understand this rule. So this is just a practice exercise. So in here it says, write the correct form of the verb ER and IR verbs. So that's the first thing. When it's asking you to write the verb, you need to identify what type of verb is it. Is it an AR verb, an IR verb, or an ER verb? Because that will depend what's the ending. How are you going to conjugate the verb? So in this case, all of these verbs are IR and ER. So I gave you the conjugation chart right here, and this is what I meant when you make the flashcards. If you can just make it like this, simple, that will be helpful, and it will be like plain. So then the answers of this would be yo. So for abrir, again, you will put an O. So yo abro. Él corre. Tú crees. Creer is to believe. Ella asiste. Usted vende. Nosotros recibimos. Nosotros bebemos. Vosotros vivís. Vosotros coméis. Notice how vosotros always have an accent. The verbs always have an accent mark. And ustedes deciden. Okay, and then in here is asking you to do the same with this verb. So nosotros comemos, yo aprendo, usted recibe, yo veo, tú comprendes. Fill in the blank again. Ustedes viven. Let's go here where it gives me the answer. So ustedes viven. Ella debe. That's the verb like the verb which is you should, you ought to. So debe estudiar, you should study, you ought to study. So ella debe estudiar para el examen. Mario cree en los fantasmas. Mario believes in ghosts. Fantasmas is ghosts. Creer is to believe. Vosotros respondéis, to respond or to answer a la pregunta. And the one on the bottom, I don't know which one that is. So these are questions that you need to just grammar questions. So if he asks you like, which comes first in a question, the subject or the verb? So the verb. The answer is the verb. So in your study guide, I think this is mainly for Spanish B. It has these questions, but you can go ahead, find that page and write the answers. So in a question, the verb usually comes first. So for example, if you want to ask somebody, are you going to school? You would say, vas a la escuela? Or you can say, vas tú a la escuela? So notice that I put it in parentheses because you can say tú, but you don't have to say tú because vas is for tú. Okay, so vas a la escuela. Or if you ask, come Miguel en la cafetería, does Miguel eat in the cafeteria? So notice how in English you say Miguel first and then you say the verb. But in Spanish, we do the opposite. We say the verb come and then we say the name Miguel. So come Miguel en la cafetería. Or you can just simply say come en la cafetería. So that would be like question mark, like who comes. So if you say come could be for él, ella, usted. Which comes first in a statement, subject or verb? The answer is subject. For example, tú vas a la escuela. So tú would be the subject, okay? So tú vas a la escuela y vas would be the verb. So the verb comes after the subject, which in this case is tú. So I can also say vas a la escuela because that's implied that is tú because vas is the conjugation for tú. Or I can say Miguel come en la cafetería. Miguel eats in the cafeteria. So this right here is the same in English. In English we say the pronoun first and then the verb when it's a statement. Now in English it is not optional like in Spanish where you can leave out the pronoun because it's understood. In English you do have to say it. You don't say go to a school. You don't say eats in the cafeteria. That would be weird. But in Spanish you can say come en la cafetería or vas a la escuela. Where does the word nunca go in a negative statement? Okay, so it goes before the verb. So for example, if you want to say you never eat meat, so you would say nunca comes carne. Never comes, you eat carne. Nunca comes carne. So it goes before the verb. The verb is comes, and then the word nunca is that negative word or negative adverb, and that would come before. Nunca comes carne. You can also put it at the end when you say no. So when you're using a negative statement with no first, so if you say no comes carne nunca, you have to split them, okay? You cannot put no nunca comes carne. That wouldn't be good. So you would say no comes carne nunca, and they both mean the same thing in English. Next questions right here is that you have to know how to answer these questions, okay? So you would know, like if I ask you qué día es hoy, qué día es mañana, cuál es la fecha, cómo te llamas, cuántos años tienes, cómo estás, estudias tu español cada día, tocas el piano. So we've practiced this in class and throughout the semester, and we've practiced this, but let's just make sure quickly you know how to say that. So, ¿qué día es hoy? Obviously, hoy es jueves. Hoy es jueves 17 de diciembre, or you can just say, just hoy es jueves. You can just leave it at that. Now, if I ask you fecha, fecha is date. So, ¿cuál es la fecha? You do have to say the whole thing, the day and the month. So, ¿cuál es la fecha? Hoy es jueves 17 de diciembre. That's fecha. And you can say the year, del 2020. ¿Qué día es mañana? Mañana means tomorrow, but also mañana means morning, depending how you're using it. But in this case, ¿qué día es mañana? Is what day is tomorrow. So then you start out saying mañana es viernes. ¿Cómo te llamas? Obviously me llamo Señor Bluemel. ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 12 años, 13 años. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy bien, estoy mal, estoy cansada, estoy estresada, estoy feliz, estoy emocionada, or whatever. ¿Estudias tu español cada día? Cada día means each day. So do you study Spanish each day? So you would say, sí, estudio español todos los días, each day, or cada día, o no, no estudio español todos los días, o estudio español los lunes, los miércoles, los viernes, or estudio español los fines de semana, on the weekend. So it just depends, right? ¿Tocas el piano? Do you play the piano? Sí, toco el piano, o no, no toco el piano. Be prepared to verbally answer these questions in Spanish. So these are just conversation questions that we practice also in Persona Especial. So, ¿cuándo hablas tú por teléfono? So this in here, cuando, you're going to see a lot of the question words coming up here. So make sure you review the question words. ¿Cuándo? ¿Dónde? ¿Qué? Okay, so ¿cuándo hablas tú por teléfono? When do you speak on the phone? So then you would say I speak, which is the verb AR, the verb hablar, and then you have to know how to say I speak. So yo hablo por teléfono todos los días, o yo no hablo por teléfono. ¿Limpias tu casa los fines de semana? Sí, limpio mi casa los fines de semana, o no limpio mi casa los fines de semana. ¿Escribes en la clase de español? Do you write in Spanish class? Sí, escribo mucho en la clase de español, o escribo un poco en la clase de español, o a veces escribo en la clase de español. A veces, sometimes. ¿Abres la puerta para tus padres? Abres is the verb abrir, which means to open. La puerta is door, remember, is one of the words in classroom objects. So, la puerta para tus padres, para for, tus, your, padres, parents. So, sí, abro la puerta para mis padres, o no abro la puerta para mis padres. ¿Debes estudiar más en tus clases? So debes means should or ought to. So should you study more? Ought you study more? So sí, debo estudiar más o no debo estudiar más, which actually the right answer is sí, debo estudiar más. ¿Viajas en el verano? Do you travel in the summer? Sí, viajo en el verano o no viajo en el verano. ¿Miras mucha televisión los fines de semana? Sí, miro mucha televisión o no. ¿Hablas con tus amigos en el verano? Sí, hablo con mis amigos. ¿Dónde asistes a la escuela? Where do you attend? So asistir is to attend. So where do you attend? ¿Dónde asistes a la escuela? So you would say, asisto en Fox Middle School o asisto en la escuela de Fox Middle School or whatever name you want to use. ¿Qué haces? ¿Qué haces? What do you do? ¿Qué haces en el verano? What do you do in the summer? ¿Qué haces en el verano? Or, ¿qué haces en el invierno? What do you do in the winter? O ¿qué haces en el otoño? Or ¿qué haces en la primavera? Okay, so that's asking you like, what do you do? So then you would say, en la primavera, voy a visitar a mi familia. O en el verano, voy de vacaciones, I go on vacation. O en el verano, visito a mi familia en Colombia o whatever. O en el verano, paso tiempo con mis amigos. I spend time with my friends. Or many things like that, okay? ¿Te gusta? So te gusta is do you like? So that's when you are going to review the verb to like, gustar in the video. So te gusta is do you like? So then te gusta bailar. Bailar is to dance. Te gusta cantar. Cantar is to sing. Te gusta nadar. To swim, pescar, to fish, and acampar, to camp. So you would say, obviously, si me gusta bailar, or no me gusta bailar, o me gusta un poco, o me gusta mucho. Okay, so remember that also part of the final, you could also hear, you will listen to people talking about familiar topics, introductions, likes and dislikes, school day, calendar. And then you will answer questions about what you heard to show how well you understand spoken language in Spanish. So again, remember to keep practicing. Practice introducing yourself in Spanish, saying your name, your age, and where you live. Practice introducing, like using question words, using like saying what you have in your backpack, your classes, what you do. What you have in your mochila. Make sure you review my videos in my channel and make sure to review this video for the study guide. So I am going to timestamp it so it's easier for you to find specific subjects, and I hope this is very helpful to you. Muchas gracias. Ciao.